right. Got a lot of folks in here today. It's great to see everybody. Thanks for joining Stammer AI Office Hours. Today, we're going to be going over some of our latest updates. I'll show you some of the new features that we're currently working on. And of course, at the end, we'll go over a general Q&A session. So if anybody has any general questions, we can go through anything that anybody has at the end here. So to get started, we're going to go over just some quick housekeeping things for everybody that's new here. You can always keep up to date with all of our changelog and updates to the platform by going to our roadmap at roadmap.stammer.ai. This is going to have all of the specific updates and changes to the platform that you will be able to see. You can also see this inside the platform. If you click on the little rocket icon in the top right-hand corner, this will have all of the release notes and everything here as well. The cool thing about this is if you have something that you'd like to see on the platform, you can go here and add it as an item. We have a public roadmap here where we can use this information to figure out what people are interested in learning about or learning more about, so we can build that for that specific use case so our customers can have expanded functionality over the platform. So today we're going to be going over 1.9.2, which is going to have a couple different updates in here that are going to be massive quality of life improvements to the platform. I'm really excited about getting these updates out. In the past couple weeks, we've shown some of the new UI updates and changes that we've been implementing into the platform. And I'm excited to say that we got one of the big ones out today, which is the update to our settings tab. So for everyone that might be new, this is going to be the main area where you're creating your AI agent and writing in the prompt of what you want any specific AI agent to do or accomplish. There's a much simpler UI and interface here that allows you to, and your customers, to quickly create these without having to worry about some of the older options that some people that I can see here that have been around here for a while will be familiar with. We'll have a fully detailed list of how everything changed in our changelog, but the short of it is any settings that were temporary or beta have now been either implemented or removed by default. And these are items that are not going to necessarily affect the overall functionality of the AI agents. It's more about how you create them. So nothing should change for your existing AI agents if you have already signed up and created things. These are just going to be improvements and advancements into this area. And the cool part about this is now it's designed using a different programming language, which allows us to have things update much faster. So the UI is updated as well as the speed of how things are implemented in the platform, which is really cool. So essentially, you'll be able to select your primary model, and within the next couple of weeks, we're going to have the ability to add in a backup model, which will be alternative LLM models, things like Anthropic Claude or Grok from xAI. The benefit of this will be if and when OpenAI has an issue with their API, our system will automatically register and know that and be able to transfer AI agents over to using an alternative backup model. So that way there is less downtime or zero downtime when OpenAI has some problems. And we've seen this over the past couple months when they've released updates or new models that tend to have some problems. They seem to have some problems. So we went ahead and started working with Anthropic Claude and Grok. So those will both be added within the next couple weeks, which is going to be another great update for everybody. So that's one of the main updates for today, as well as the ability to have updated leads, which I'll go over in a sec. We got a couple questions here. Oh, awesome. Would that switch happen in the middle of a chat potentially? Possibly, although the functionality of everything is the exact same. So if you have any issues, please reach out to us either in the chat or make a ticket, and we'll be happy to look into your account for you. But all the functionality will remain the exact same. One of the big tenets that we try to focus on when we do these updates is I want to make sure that, if I was one of our customers, I want to make sure that every day I wake up, everything is working the exact same, functionality is the same, all that stuff. And that's one of the things that we really tried to focus on, as well as give heads up to people when we make any other changes. So we also have these UI updates are going to be continuously added across the platform in different areas. A couple weeks ago, we added one inside of the Conversations tab. We've also upgraded the UI for the Integrations tab. So as we continue to work and improve the platform, please feel free to give us, more and more UI updates. I know everybody in the Discord has been very liberal with their recommendations, which is fantastic because that really helps us figure out how you guys are looking at this stuff and utilizing it. Being said, we'll move on to the second new thing that's added today, which is Leads 2.0. Now, if you have an existing AI agent, like I was just saying, we don't break functionality. So you will have there will be two tabs called Legacy Leads and Leads 2.0. And the idea behind this is, again, we didn't want to break anybody's existing AI agents. We just want to offer the improvements as we continue to build out more functionality with the platform. This new Leads 2.0 is a massive improvement over how you can extract specific data from a conversation, such as names, email addresses, appointment times, somebody's favorite color, whatever it may be. The benefit of this new Leads 2.0 system is it doesn't require a separate prompt in order for it to work, which is how the Leads 1.0 works. So there is a slight difference, but again, no existing AI agents will break. This will only be applicable to new AI agents that you create, or if you switch one over from the old system. The main difference between this new version and the old version is that prompt is removed. And so in order to now have the AI agent know that it needs to ask for specific values, all we simply do is go to our main base system prompt here, and we need to make sure that somewhere in our prompt, we're asking the user those specific questions. So for example, in this AI agent here, I say, after you answer the first question, ask the user for their email address. This is now how the AI agent knows to ask the user for their email address. Like, very simple. All you have to do is put it inside the prompt. The corresponding part of this, or how it connects to extracting that data, is now we can go into this Leads tab and we can define that we want to extract an email address and then send that information either to an email as a notification or to a webhook URL, which will allow you to do further processing. Most people will utilize this within their CRM or something like a Zapier, which can then pipe this information into any other third-party application. So the real benefit of this is there's no longer a separate prompt that's needed. All you're having to do is define what structured data you want to extract, and then you can send that information to either an email or a webhook. Now, this is very similar and kind of extends the functionality of the summary tab here, which already has this lead conversation data and a secondary prompt, which allows you to summarize the conversation with specific information. And again, you can have the results of all of this be sent to an email or a webhook. All of this combined together now gives agencies, yourselves, and your clients the ability to extract structured and unstructured data by using this summary prompt and the new Leads 2.0. So this is extremely useful. It works like you would expect it to work. I was very, very, very happy when we started doing our testing for this, because it works as you would expect it to work. If you know how to write a prompt and have certain values be asked, all you need to do is define what values you want to extract from that conversation, and it will do so. It also works with some unique use cases as well, where if, for example, we added in another data value here, like name, for example, and we add that as a string, we can extract name from an email address if it's a personalized email. So for example, if I put in my email, ross@stammer.ai, it will know that my name is Ross and be able to extract that data as structured data. So that will be quite useful even if someone doesn't answer fully. And that's one of the other benefits of this. If somebody only answers maybe two out of your five questions or maybe one, that information, that one value that they did answer will be correctly extracted and sent to wherever it needs to go. All of this data is also collected within the system. So you can see this information inside the conversations tab here, where if we go into a conversation here, like one of these, you can see how there's lead data on the right-hand side here. So all the data is stored here as well, but as we know, we always want, our clients always would like this information to be piped into their CRM. Something like GHL is always an example that I like to use. And we can see here that the data comes in as name and email address, which then allows me to select those custom values and apply them to the contact fields in my CRM. So the client's CRM is updated with the correct information, regardless if they went through the entire flow of the AI agent wherever it's needed. Can I have a copy of these prompts, please? Yes, we will make all of these prompts available, and we're actually also going to be adding a section here shortly that is called prompt templates. We have a big update coming to our marketplace, which will also have a bunch of other prompts. That is something to keep note of. And if you want to access some of those right now, we have a few examples inside of our documentation where we have a few different prompt examples in here as well. So definitely check that out. I'll send this in the chat. Kasuna asks, how much is the agent really learning from the many interactions with customers? So it really depends on how you are going to set that up. Specifically, when you are having a conversation, you can have a better response train. So how much is it, for example, if you add information to a knowledge base and you start testing it out and you don't necessarily like the answer, you can click this train better response option, which is going to open a QA, the question and the answer or the response. And you can customize this answer to have specific information to make it a correct response. And when you add and click train response, that information is going to be added to the QA section here as a question and an answer. So by default, when users are talking with the AI agent, the AI agent is not going to by itself update based off of this information. It would be something that you or your client or somebody that's managing this account would update. Can I understand this train better feature as adding a few shot prompting? I'm not quite sure I understand your question, Sam. If you could rephrase. And Kasun, yes. So not autonomously, correct. And Tim, am I missing? Did I get everything? I think I got everything. Most
Yeah,
updates.
I think you did. I can't
Okay.
think of anything else.
Yeah.
Ross, I've got an answer to Sam's question.
Oh, please. Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Few shot prompting is basically using examples or conversations that happen in real time as adding it to the knowledge base. So it kind of hits on Kasun's question too
Hmm.
about autonomously updating. So the train better response could be considered few shot prompting, although it's formatted differently within our platform.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. Cool. So last things I'll mention before we go into general Q&A, and guys, please continue to post your messages in the chat or questions in the chat. That's very helpful. The next couple weeks of what we're working on, we're going to have a big update with our what we're calling MasterChat, which is essentially going to be a personalized AI workspace that allows users to interact with these AI agents inside of a chat GPT style like interface rather than a chat widget. The benefit of this is going to be the ability to now sell more internal focused AI agents. So for example, things that could write emails for companies based off of documentation or a specific way that they would want to write it, blog posts, ad copy, things like that. And the cool thing about that is it would still, everything on the back end still utilizes this exact system, except now users can log in without having to interact with any of the admin side of the dashboard and simply be able to chat with their AI agents, just like you would with a chat GPT, custom GPT, something like that. Adam asks, are you able to post pics and buttons into the chat? Can you add multiple calendars as well? You can, it can render images. We are wrapping up our vision feature, had to figure out the billing for that. So that will be out in the next couple of weeks, because that is also something that is going to be quite useful within MasterChat. The system can render any type, this chat window can render any type of HTML. So we do have an example somewhere that I can probably, I made one a while or a couple office hours ago that was for a Shopify store where if a user asks about a specific product, the information will add a image. I'll have to find that one. It'll add an image inside the chat so the user can see the chat. We've not necessarily tested that with buttons, so that's actually an interesting idea and use case that we can look into a bit further there. And then the final question, can you add multiple calendars as well? Right now, we have the ability to connect one Google Calendar. If you'd like to do separate calendars, I would recommend going more of the quote unquote traditional route, which would mean updating the prompt to include links to that specific booking of a calendar based off of how a conversation goes or what the user is interested. For example, you could write something that says, if the user is interested in booking an onboarding call, send them to this link, which will be, an slash onboarding link. If the user wants to book a sales call or support call, send them to this link. And that way you could separate calendars as needed. We are also working on more native integrations with things like GHL calendars and cal.com calendars. Still looking into Calendly, even though their API is pretty locked down, unfortunately, but trying to see how we might be able to do a custom integration there as well. So more updates on the calendar integrations over the next coming weeks. Yeah, you're welcome. That being said, we can go into general Q&A. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to just start chatting, or you can post it in the chat. And happy to answer some questions here. Drew, did you have anything else, or Tim?
Nope, all good on my end.
All good on my end also.
We are also, honorable mention, we are working on our voice option as well. So still working on that. Tim has actually been fully implemented it into an active business already, which is very exciting. So we're testing it thoroughly to make sure it's like up to par with what we want to be able to offer to you guys. So that way you guys are offering quality AI voice agents as well. I don't know if you want to mention anything on that, Tim.
No, just that it's performing as a voicemail essentially right now. And then we're going to be deploying the answering service version later this week, most likely. And yeah, it performs flawlessly. And now we have kind of custom code connecting it to the systems that the dental office uses. But yeah, I mean, this is a solid use case that anyone can sell for any SMB. Basically,
Yeah.
the way this works is we use Charter Spectrum Business for this one, and there's an option within their interface to hand off a call after an X number of rings. So you pass it off to the agent, it does its thing, it collects the information, and then we have some custom code that extracts the information about the call and a summary and all that stuff, and then sends it into the kind of CRM. But yeah,
and
it's an exciting approach.
The original problem that you solved for this business was they were getting too many calls, and the front office people were getting like
Yeah.
they weren't able to keep up with the amount of calls, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so originally what we were going to do is just use a voicemail, and then we already had a human-based answering service. But I was just like, well, why not just use AI for this? We know it already works well for this. So, and yeah, it works perfectly. Eventually it may start doing some outbound stuff, appointment reminders, stuff like that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very exciting. Peter says, a comment, I spent about an hour asking your chatbot questions, which were all answered brilliantly. Awesome. Thanks for that feedback. That's great to hear. Tim says, how can we add base system prompts to the marketplace? Good question. So inside the AI agent tab under settings right here, there's an option at the top called Marketplace. And this will allow you to add it to your marketplace, which will allow your sub accounts to discover and clone this AI agent into their sub account. We are updating this entire system with a new UI, a ton more options and functionality. For the example, being able to toggle on and off if you want a knowledge base to be included in that cloning of it. And I actually have, I believe, I think I have the update here. So this will allow you to also set them for free, but it will also allow you to mark them as a paid option. So I vibe coded our MVP of this, which allows you to kind of see what this is going to look like eventually when you guys see it and when it gets released in the next couple, I'd say within the next week or so. So this is what I was mentioning. A lot of people were wanting to be able to copy over all of the other tabs, for example, like knowledge base and custom functions, for example, which is pretty important. So now you can toggle all these things on and off. You can make it free or paid. If it's a paid option, this amount will get deducted from the sub account's wallet balance and be able to clone this into their system. A really cool feature that I'm really hyped on is when somebody clones one of these bots to their sub account, you will be able to see when they added that and which version they're on currently. You can then go and make changes and make updates to a specific AI agent, which will then say, oh, there's now a new version available, which is an updated version. If you are a done for you agency where it's a white glove service, you're doing everything for the agency, you can now update that AI agent for them without the customer or client having to do anything, which is really, really, really cool. This will be applicable eventually to all AI agents across the entire platform, but we're starting this functionality specifically within the ones for the marketplace. Kat says exciting. I'm super stoked. Yeah, lots of fun stuff coming. Kasoon says voice agents super exciting. If you need any tester, I'm happy to help. We will definitely be hitting you up. I know you've been waiting on that. Excited to get it in your hands. Kat says too. Me too. Happy to be a tester if you need volunteers. Yep. And that just, shameless plug, the people who get early access to all this stuff by default are users on the full SaaS mode plan, which is our top plan for 500 a month for 100 AI agents. So that's something by default, but we are happy to provide some early access to specific things to people that are constantly showing up to our office hours and providing good feedback. So appreciate you guys for joining here. Oh, we got some Otter AI stuff. Sam says, can we use our own chat interface and connect to Stammer via the Stammer API? Yeah, you can. The white label API allows you to do exactly that. So you can create and message AI agents within the API utilizing this information. If you are familiar with all this stuff, this should be very easy. If you're not familiar with this stuff, you can simply screenshot this and have ChatGPT walk you through it. We also have a couple video tutorials on this on how to connect it to different platforms like Zapier, Make.com, GHL. Tim, I believe you did one or no, that was Make.com, I believe. So yeah, there's a fair amount of options there for connecting it to basically anything. Patrick asks, will voice integrate with current backend like leads tab and parse out variables like emails and names? Yes, exactly. That's one of the reasons why we actually built out this new version of it first, is because we saw how that was going to work with our testing of the AI voice agents. So the functionality will be, from a admin point of view, is going to be the exact same. All that will change is there's going to be basically another tab here. Instead of AI agent chatbots, it'll be called AI agents voice or something like that. And virtually everything will be the same within the restriction of how voice works. So, for example, like the prompt that you would use is probably going to be slightly different for a voice agent than it would be for a chat agent. So things like that will be slightly different, but from a fundamental like functionality point of view, you'll still have the ability to extract data and summaries and all that good info. Richard,
Can I
yeah,
interrupt you?
yeah, please.
Can you just talk about that a little bit more? What does that mean? How would you be able to parse out the emails and names?
Yeah, good question. So
Voice agent.
it'll be very similar to how we're doing it with leads. The way that this is extracted is if the conversation ends, which is a key term, or automatically after 1 hour of inactivity. When a conversation ends is something that we can get through the voice side. So for example, if one of the initial integrations that we're going to build is with Twilio, because that's where a lot of people are getting their phone numbers. Twilio will send us a notification when a conversation ends, like when somebody actually hangs up the phone. At that trigger point will allow us to extract and transcribe the conversation. That conversation then goes through this exact same process. So the AI will be able to see that, oh, we're trying to extract email and name from this transcribed conversation. And then
Got
it
it.
will send it off in the exact same way. Richard asks, can we find previous office hours? That is on YouTube, like Tim mentioned. Where can we find more documentation on how to write based on some prompts and messages? I sent that just a second ago, but I'll send it again right here. There's a bunch of good information in here. And then I've got another one that I'll send in a second. Or if Drew, can you ping up, post the Notion one if you have it?
Give me one second.
Cool. Peter says, I've identified 2 pain points in my niche. Number 1, client acquisition, and number 2, employee recruitment. Would you recommend creating 2 separate chatbots or pull all the info into one? I'm new to this. It fundamentally, 2 different bots is going to work better. And this is something that you can test as you start to become more comfortable with these AI tools. You'll start to see how the prompt interacts with users in different scenarios. One of the most useful things that our documentation actually mentions is adding an example conversation inside the prompt itself. This is one of those things that actually really helps the AI agent know how to direct the conversation and bring the user back into the conversation for a relevant question and answer scenario. If they asked, something crazy or like, write me a story about Jack and Jill, it'll say, oh, I can't do that. So I need to focus in on what I'm instructed to do or ask. So I would recommend creating 2 different ones to start. And that way you can really hone in and figure out what that prompt will be in order to meet those 2 separate interactions. And then ideally over time, you can see how you could then combine those into a single prompt that will then be able to identify what conversation direction the user wants to go in, and the AI agent will have instructions to meet that scenario. Oh, thanks, Tim, for helping me keep up with these. But these are great. Lots of good questions here. Thank you everyone for submitting these. Richard asked, do you provide any onboard sessions for new agencies? Yes, we do. So if you log in, you'll be able to see it right here. There will be an option to click here to schedule your onboarding call. This can also be found if you go to Stammer AI/onboarding. This goes directly to Drew's calendar, which I'll post in the chat here. Drew will hop on a call and walk you through getting things set up, like adding in your custom domain and connecting your Stripe if that's something that you're interested in doing as well.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
So I had my onboarding, but I was having a little bit of issues, but I don't want to eat up Drew's time. How do I get some more help? I'm going live with agents tomorrow, by the way.
Okay.
I ran into an issue with Stripe and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do?
Gotcha.
So I'm happy to pay for extra, or I need some more help.
Yeah. I would say, Drew, how would you want to do that? Or Drew, I think he dropped off actually. Schedule another onboarding for right now. So that way we have something on the books for you. We do have the ability for you to pay, but I think this is an issue that we could get resolved fairly quickly. So I'm not trying to nickel and dime you. Does that work?
Sure.
Perfect.
I'm kind of desperate.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Do you have a support ticket submitted as well?
I do, but we went in circles about my Stripe account because I tested it to create an account, and there were certain things that I was expecting to happen that did not happen.
Okay. Tim, can you put this on your action item list, please?
Yeah. In high level, Kasun, what is the issue high level of Stripe? Are you getting an error or?
I got an error, then I got a success message, and then I'm looking to see the bot created, the Stripe account updated, nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
And did you do it in the same? Yeah, it can be an issue if you're doing it in the same browser
Okay.
where your Stripe account was connected. It really depends. It works best, obviously, when it's an actual customer that has never visited the platform and they
Right.
attempt to sign up with your white label.
I,
But yeah,
I imagine so, but I really need to test it because I'm kind of linear, like just I want to see it working.
Yeah.
oh yes, totally understand.
Okay, so Tim, if you could look into her account and then Kasoon, please schedule that another onboarding with Drew just so we have it. But
Okay.
I have a feeling Tim will be able to debug and figure out a solution, and then he'll send you an email with an update.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Perfect. Patrick says, all great stuff. Thanks, team. Kasoon, you say, what ROI calculator are you using on your website? I made that in Claude, actually, Claude AI. So I can put that, I'll put that somewhere in the documentation, and then I'll have that and we can send that off to you as well. Because that was just something I created pretty quickly. Sam says, follow-up question, if you're using your own chat interface, is it also JavaScript embedded into index HTML? In the integration page, can we replace the Stammer widget script with our own? No, that's not currently available. You would have to use our widget, but when you are white labeling the system, everything will be in your domain. Tim, do you know the answer to the other question?
No, but I know the answer to the what is the other question? I know the chat widget one. I mean, that could be done in theory, especially once the API supports streaming, but you would have to have some middleware that kind of stores your keys and stuff like that. So not something I would advise doing unless you have a real serious reason to do that, I guess. But in theory, it could be done.
Cool. And then, yeah, Drew posted the other resource here in Notion. So this has a ton of basically all of our guides and resources that are adjacent to the functionality of the platform. So if you're interested on, how are you acquiring customers or what emails are you using, all of this information is inside this guide here. So very useful. And the prompt engineering one is right here, which a lot of this is already in the documentation, but this also gives a lot of the prompt engineering tutorials from the AI LLMs themselves. This information is really good to be familiar with as the AI expert of your agency or your business. So things like how to understand the different types or parts of a prompt, quite useful to check some of this stuff out. So that's there as well. Alrighty. Any other last questions or comments, concerns?
I could do with some support. I'm going
There we
live
go.
tomorrow, AI agents. And so if anybody wants to link me on LinkedIn and provide their support,
I'll definitely give you the thumbs up for sure.
I'm looking forward to that voice. Thanks, Ross.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Deb.
me too. Cool. Alrighty. Well, if there's not any other questions, thanks everybody for joining. Great to see everybody. Oh, we got one more. Antonio says, does Stammer integrate with CRMs like Clio, Lawmatics, or HubSpot to capture leads and automate follow-ups? If not, it would be better to build a white label CRM using Go High Level to manage the client intake along an AI agent. If your CRM has the ability to accept data from an inbound webhook, the existing infrastructure that we showed with leads will work flawlessly. The key is it has to have the ability to accept data from a webhook. Every other platform out there like Zapier, Make, GHL, HubSpot, I know does have it. I'm not sure about Clio or Lawmatics or some of those other ones, but most of these other ones have the ability to accept that data. And if it doesn't, you could then use another step like a Zapier to accept the data. And then hopefully there's a Zapier connection that can pipe that data through.
So that's done via webhook.
That is done via the leads section. So in an AI agent over here, I believe you joined recently. So we are going over the new leads tab, which allows you to define these specific data values, and then you can send them to a webhook URL, which allows the system to then take that data as an input, like so, lead data, and then that data can be extracted and added to a contact value. Does BotSonic work on your platform? I'm not actually sure what BotSonic is. No, but this seems like a competitor to us, so I would say no.
I forgot one question.
Yeah.
Embeddable code. Is anybody else having any issues with embedding those codes into different websites, like if the site was created by GHL.
Like where to put it?
Yeah, it works fine for me for Squarespace,
Uh-huh.
just, the regular stuff. But
So the way that I've added it on our GHL website, because we actually use GHL for our main website here, I created a HTML block in the footer
hmm,
and I just pasted the code into the HTML block.
okay, so I guess I would have to work with whoever created the website, create that block, and just drop it in. Okay.
You can also add it to the header and other things, but sometimes that gets confusing or people mess that up, and that is, you can do it too, but this is the way that we do it. So,
It doesn't seem to work with the header, by the way. I tried it.
Okay.
It
Okay.
didn't seem like it.
It will for sure work that way, the way I just showed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate everyone for hopping on today, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.